Yeah, very good. Yeah, I think they're going to get out and do it. Yeah, agreed. Okay. Yeah, I agree. We need to reposition to shed them a little bit. Nice job.
Very nicely done.
You guys are all killing it. Got it. Coming to us after Morgan.
15 goes on for more than 90 minutes. We have to go to the car to grab the back.
Yeah. So MS is supposedly going off the air in 58 minutes.
1 o'clock.
At 1 a.m.
Yeah, I dropped one extra step, but I got to bring more tomorrow.
At that point, we left the rear of the building where we were, and we came back to this intersection where we're standing now. We haven't heard a repeat of that, but right now I'm listening to glass being broken because about 20 yards behind me, if we can just flip the camera around, an Arby's that had been boarded up in hopes of protecting that business is now being broken into as dozens of people kind of form that entrance there. And that is really the scene block by block in this part of the city right now, Brian, because now for going on about an hour, I have yet to see any police presence of any kind. I had seen some cruisers in the distance about a half hour ago, expecting them to roll into this area and set up a perimeter, but they have yet to do that. And just a quick look down this street we're standing on right now, you'll see that a flame stretches across the entire width of it. That is how typically police would come into the rear parking lot there of their own station. But right now, that fence is up, that fire is burning, and that is making it almost impossible, really, for any sort of response to come to this area. So the tension is certainly rising here, Brian. We have not heard that gunfire come yet again. We do know that about 3 blocks behind me is where that liquor store continues to burn. And at this point in time, we have to fear, is this going to be basically a carbon copy repeat of what we saw last night, or about a 10-block square area was laid waste by hundreds and hundreds of people trying to do, as they would say, send a message, but overshadowing what so many people we spoke to today said they came out for, and that was to pay tribute to the man who died Monday. Brian? All right, let's move. Sort of the center of activity in front of the police station. The crowd is now moved over there. At this point, that seems to be the center of what's going on. Let me just give you a sense of it. What Morgan said was interesting. For most of the day today, it looked a lot calmer than yesterday looked. And that's what happened yesterday. It picked up later in the evening. The crowds gathered here. And the standoff with the police looked very different last night. Police had lined up. There were no barricades outside the police station. Police had lined up around it and were preventing protesters from getting close. Then they put up, overnight, they put up fences and barricades so that people couldn't get there. And that's what broke through. So it caused a new center of focus for the protesters. The idea that they would then try and take that police station from the police. And again, we were very surprised to find out that there were police actually in that building, but there were. There were 5 police who came out. They had their weapons with them that fired the gas canisters, and it dispersed the crowd, which then came this way and started this activity and a fire that occurred over there. So again, there are fires, as you mentioned at the top of the show, there are at least 4 fires that I can see, and that's just in this small radius that Morgan and I are in. Obviously, some of them are very active. This one is now, as you can see, very obviously split to the buildings on either side of it, the liquor store and the shop to the left. But there's no ability, and I just think we have to remember this. The National Guard has been activated. They are not here. The police are not here. The police have been evacuated. The fire engines can't get in here. There is no ability to bring anybody in here to solve this problem. So I want to be clear in how I characterize this. This is mostly a protest. It is not generally speaking unruly, but fires have been started, and there's a crowd that is relishing that. There is a deep sense of grievance and complaint here. And that is the thing, that when you discount people who are doing things to public property that they shouldn't be doing, it does have to be understood that this city has got, for the last several years, an issue with police, and it's got a real sense of the deep sense of grievance of inequality. And you mentioned earlier, before we had video, how did we know about these things? Now we have video. We have 3 angles of this thing, and the people who are talking to me, not an investigator, and I don't have access to the information that investigators have, but they are saying, what more do you need? You've got 3 angles of video. Why haven't there been arrests? And the FBI and the Minneapolis Bureau of Apprehensions and the Hennepin County Attorney, all of whom are proceeding very carefully. This crowd is not looking for careful right now. They are looking for something that feels like justice, and they don't seem to be getting it.
Streaming services is the most common stream type. You can choose from different services, including Twitch, YouTube, and many others. For server, you can leave it on auto or manually change it to a location closer to you, which in my case would be Dallas, Texas. And the stream key section is where you paste the key from the service you're using. In output, we'll look at the simple mode. The streaming and recording settings here will work for most of you.
Right.
If you're streaming, you may want
And there
to
have been
increase the
various
video
protests in
bitrate
various
to
parts of the city,
20,000.
right? So there was one at City Hall that was more organized. There was one at Hennepin County Courthouse where people knelt in protest. Those seem to be the ones where people are trying to get the attention of the politicians. This has a more visceral feel to it. This protest is not about the politicians. This protest is about the police. This protest is about people who feel that police brutality is not something that is dealt with fairly in this country. This is not about politics. They're not politicians. Even in
Baltimore when we saw riots, or in Ferguson where we saw politicians, generally aldermen, people like that coming to the area. That's not what's happening right now. This several block area that Morgan and I are in right now is out of control. It's not in the control of authority, it's not in the control of the police, it's not in the control of the government, and not the National Guard. So for all those people who are hearing that the National Guard has been activated in Minneapolis and in Minnesota, that is not happening right now. Right now, no government authority, no authority whatsoever has control over this area. The people have control over this area, and this is what's happening right now. There's a lot of venting going on. There are definitely people who come up to me that are not happy about the way this is unfolding. They're not happy about the damage to public property, but boy, the anger, I can't, the pictures show it, Brian, but the anger is visceral here.
Open this drop-down menu. There are two other options. So use one of the other two if your system can handle it. And the frames per second values will also depend on your hardware. Use 60 FPS if you can. Otherwise, try reducing to 30 FPS. The hotkey section is where you can assign keyboard shortcuts. I only use a few. In this recording, I use F12 to start and escape to stop. And for the last settings category, which is advanced, for most of you, the default settings should work just fine.
Yeah.
I've never changed them, and so far I've had no issues.
Yep. Miguel, they're on the picture. Yep. MSNBC.
Not really, but we got 10 guys. Exactly.
That's not your guess. Oh, wow. The whole block stone. Oh.
What's your name, guys? NBC?
What's that?
NBC?
Yeah.
What's your name?
Ali Belshi.
What's your name? Jamal Green.
Nice to meet you, man.
Nice to meet you. Good friends with Carol Actors. You know Carol Actors?
Yeah.
I'm an activist out of Chicago.
No kidding.
Yeah.
When you come down?
2 days ago. Yeah.
What do you make of it?
Helping lead. It's been, understandable of the anger. That's what's important.
Well, yeah. I mean, this is one of those things, right? Somebody was just saying on our air that reasonable people get on their Twitter feed and they see this video and it's like,
Right.
tell me why that's not what I saw.
Exactly.
Maybe there is. Maybe there's something you didn't see, but I
It
don't know.
don't take that long to talk about it.
And then we got another video, and then we got a third video. It's like, what's going on? I mean, people are sitting here saying, I'm sure there's some people in here who are not deep in the protest, but some people are, you know, like, is that justice? If that's justice, then what am I signing up for?
Right. So, yeah, people are angry and you can't be mad at them for it.
Yeah, because what's justice look like? Right? Why do I have to play by somebody's rules? There's no justice for it.
Period.
Yeah, I hear you. I never want to see this, but that's different, man. I mean, I remember I've been a reporter for 30 years almost, and people used to tell me these stories don't really happen. People don't shoot people who aren't armed. People don't kill people who aren't doing anything. And then all of a sudden, cameras showed up.
Right.
How many we seen in 1 week?
Right.
That woman in Central Park, Ahmaud Arbery, Michigan. I mean, like at some point, and that's just the cameras that are rolling. That's just the ones that people. I don't have that sense. Like I'm too old. I won't think to roll a camera if that happens. I get it. I can feel it.
Tensions are going at night. You know. Hey, just the same.
The question is, what changes? What doesn't change? Does this get anywhere, or do people just let it burn?
We'll see. Who's your producers?
They're all back in New York. I'm just.
Which ones? Okay, which ones you work with?
I have a show on weekends called Belshi. You guys know me on?
It's here.
Oh, I didn't hear that.
We want to make sure you were okay.
Yeah, no, I'm good. Thank you. I'm just doing this for all the shows, all the MSNBC shows. We're live.
Okay.
So they keep taking our shots. So I never know when I'm on TV when I'm not.
Been calling the hours. I gotta call them back.
Yeah. Good to see you. Nice to meet you. Oh yeah.
Take it off.
It's unbelievable.
I live 2 miles south of here, so
I'm gonna go check this out. I'm gonna see this.
Yeah, although it's not, it's interesting. There've been a lot of situations. It's not menacing. It's weird. It's angry. It's viscerally angry.
Yeah.
But then, like, sometimes media's and some people don't like us here. We've had a few people come up and yell at us, but generally speaking, they're not. This is visceral hurt.
Yeah.
Right. It's how can this be?
Right.
We thought if we had video, we thought if we had three angles, on something, then it would sort itself out. And I think this is. I'm not feeling menace. It doesn't feel like a riot. Right. This stuff is not great, but
well, you've been around a lot of these, probably, right?
Yeah.
So you have perspective that I don't.
There's always a group of people that take advantage of this kind of stuff, but that's not it. That's okay. What's going on here? So that taking the police station had a symbolic feel to it. I mean, that's just American City in 2020, and the police are not in control. Yeah, I got you. Yeah, I got it. Thank you. Thanks. Yeah.
Just got a crowd running.
Give me a heads up so I can get Miguel to get a shot.
No, but I can tell you that we decided we wanted to put more distance between us and the police precinct. So we started walking 2 to 3 blocks down the road, and that's when I saw that glow, that telltale glow of flame that's popping up all over this part of the city tonight, Brian. And when we walked to the rear of the building, we saw, you can hear that now, the fireworks are going off. Someone had set fire to 2 tractor trailers that were directly behind this Target store that has really been continually looted throughout the day. In fact, just a few minutes ago, as we were walking this way, I witnessed a group of people run out and one man ride out of the building on a motorcycle. And so that's kind of the scene that's playing out right now. I will say that in the past 15 minutes, we have seen some of the crowds start to disperse. More than anything at this point in time, people are just, if they are showing up, they just want to see what's happening here. I mean, it's a very unfortunate sight to behold, but if they do want to come to Brian, this fire is certainly a fresh one. As I look towards where Alley is located, I can still see the glow from where that liquor store fire is continuing to burn. And amidst all of this mess tonight, I have yet to see a police officer in uniform, a police cruiser of any kind, a member of the National Guard. And it's been that way now for at least the past hour and a half or so. I keep waiting to see some sort of perimeter set up, and that may just not be the case tonight, Brian.
Tỉnh Khai Phong而家已經獨家加盟 Food Panda 啦，嗌外賣梗係嗌 Food Panda。
I'm going to be honest with you, in the midst of all of this, I think that question has been the first time in the past hour or so that reality has really sunk in. So much for social distancing on a night like this, with people running from police earlier in the day, and now people just congregating, simply watching Minneapolis burn one building after another, Brian. They want to keep that shot.
They're looking for the shot. Yeah. Yeah. Right. Yeah, very nice. You're welcome to get in and tell me when I'm. All right. Yep. I do not have it. You want to send it? Can you send it to me? Yeah, just tell me. Yeah. Got it. Got it. Okay. Well, that would make sense because that's right when we came on air and we were right in front of it. So that makes sense. All right. Good. Let me just ask you something, Sharon. Are they talking about 11 Minneapolis time or 11 Eastern? Because it was 11. If it's 11 Minneapolis time, it's at Eastern. Got it. Okay. 90 seconds. Okay.
There's Santa Claus in the parking lot.
They extend the show. They extend the show an hour.
Yeah.
These guys might get
He's closing up at 12:30, but I think they're going to pick it up again. Yep. I'm going to talk about the police station. Let's,
interface via Bluetooth, via USB, whatever it is, because audio is critical, just as it is within a uploaded video to YouTube. Now, once all of this is set up within your streaming software, go back over to YouTube, make sure again everything's the way you want it, and then on your streaming software, hit Go Live. So I'm going to go ahead and hit Go Live now within Streamlabs OBS. Now, this does not mean that you are live on YouTube. There is one more step. When you hit the Go Live button in your streaming software, that is only sending a preview, okay? Sending a preview to YouTube, wherever you're streaming to. So now if you look here, if you go here, you can see there's a preview box up here in the upper left-hand corner showing me and letting me see and listen to what I look like and what I sound like, okay? In order to actually go live on YouTube, you must hit the Go Live button in the YouTube back end, like right here. So once I'm back in the YouTube studio, everything looks good, everything sounds good, I then can go ahead and hit Go Live. But if I go to Stream Health here, I can see that my stream status is excellent. You want this to be in the green. You don't want to see the red. You don't want to see poor quality. You want this to show as excellent. Go to Stream Health, make sure you're good to go, and then go over to where you see Go Live. Now, if you ever need to go and edit the settings of a stream, you can click the edit button in the upper right-hand corner. This will allow you to change the thumbnail, enable monetization, and change all of the stuff that we spoke about earlier. So go ahead and close out of that if you don't want to edit it. Now that we're ready to go, hit the blue Go Live button, and you will now be going live on the channel. Over here on the right-hand side, we see the channel. Now, this is a very small channel. It's a typical channel that have stream here. But if they did, you would be able to see concurrent viewers, how many people are in the stream, how many likes that stream has. Also, what you can see here is you have a chat box over on the right-hand side. If we click the three buttons there, and then we go to pop out chat, you're then going to be able to pop that chat out here and see if people are chatting within your stream and respond to them from the chat box here. You can also hit those three dots and look for participants who are in the chat with you. Who are the people who are there on the stream? Very, very simple. All of this can be done within YouTube. Now, if you want to get even deeper than that, you can also monitor and see the chat within specific streaming softwares like Streamlabs OBS or OBS and do it through them. That's something that I recommend doing. But again, I cover all of that. Lower this number, okay? That means that your internet signal is probably much weaker. I like to keep mine at 3,500, but if you see some lag, lower the number, and if it's buttery smooth, you may can even raise that number. I like to keep mine at 3,500. That is a sweet spot. That is where I would keep mine if I were you. Audio bitrate anywhere from 250 to 300. I keep mine at 288. Again, you can do 256, 320, but 288 is a fairly streamlined process. Now, make sure that when you've gone through and set up your stream here on your streaming software, that you have your microphone connected via your audio interface, via Bluetooth, via USB, whatever it is, because audio is critical, just as it is within a uploaded video to YouTube. Now, once all of this is set up within your streaming software, go back over to YouTube, make sure again everything's the way you want it, and then on your streaming.
So, Steve, how are you doing on battery?
I think we're fine.
Okay, we're good? All right.
More than 2 minutes. I only have one more.
Right. All right, let me give you a bit of a picture of what's going on. We've got a city block here that is burning. It's on fire. There are two places completely engulfed, and then a couple others. But across the road, that's the police station. That's the 3rd Precinct Police Station, where the 4 police officers who were involved in the death of George Floyd were based. Now, just after 11 o'clock Eastern, police confirmed that they evacuated that building. We were on the air with Brian at that point, and we could see a surge of people into the parking lot. They set something on fire in the back. We weren't quite sure what precipitated that, because they had broken the barriers to the building probably within the hour prior to that. So we weren't quite sure what precipitated it. But the bottom line is the protesters are now in control of that building. They've set it on fire. They are inside the building. The police have gone from there. Now, we have not seen any activity or any police there. There was a lot of police activity last night on this block, but the police have largely left and put barricades around the 3rd Precinct. What ended up happening happening is there were some police. After they broke the barricades this evening, about 9:15 p.m., what you saw was there were some police who got onto the roof of that building and fired tear gas canisters and noise guns, flashbangs, lights that make a lot of noise and disperse the crowd. The crowd then continually tried to sort of move around. The fire was set over there. There was a fire burning behind us over there, and they set fire to the police station. And then this building. The police are now gone. We have heard a lot about the fact that the National Guard is active in Minneapolis, but there are no police here. There are no National Guard. There are no firefighters. A little earlier, a block over there was a fire, and the fire department did show up. But as Morgan Chesky reports, they were not able to actually get to the fire until the crowd dispersed, and at that point, the building was largely destroyed. So it's important to understand the context. There's no authority here, no police, no fire, no National Guard at all. And frankly, I think that's a strategic decision because this crowd is worked up. They're full of grievance about George Floyd. You constantly hear the chants, say his name. I can't breathe. His name's George Floyd. And I will say that this is a much more dynamic situation than it was even 3 hours ago. Chris?
Black Lives Matter to you?
So I would say this: there's a bunch of protests going on in different parts of the city, and people have culminated in this area. So the crowd has become a little bit larger in the last few hours, and it's angry. There is a lot of grievance in this crowd. It's visceral. Every couple of moments, somebody will come around to me and ask me, as you just heard somebody say, "Do Black Lives matter to you? Are you telling people about the police?" So there's a real sense of there was one video, then there was a second video of the arrest of George Floyd. Now there's been a third video released, and the police were fired very quickly, but no charges have been laid. The Minneapolis Bureau of Apprehensions continues to study this. The Hennepin County Attorney, the FBI is involved. People have called for charges to be laid, but this crowd is wondering, what does it take? Back before there were video, they could understand that. Now they can't. People are calling it a lynching. So there's a lot of anger in this crowd, and I would say it's not dissipating. The crowd in certain parts is thinning out. The anger's not, Chris. Yep.
No cops that kill. Hey, Black Lives Matter to you?
Yes.
That's all I have.
Yeah, I don't know. Looks like it's working.
Yeah, it's a good question. It's important to note there were some various protests around the city. One of them was in, hang on a second, we're just going to get out of the way of there's traffic coming down the street now. There were a number of protests today. One was at the Hennepin County building, and that was sort of a more organized, peaceful protest. People took their knee. There was another one at City Hall. It was very heavily occupied. So we're just on the move, Chris, because there's stuff going on here. This one was about the police. Right? This isn't about the Attorney General and about politicians. This one is about the fact that more police were there when George Floyd died, and these people want justice. They want that dealt with the police. So what they've done is they've taken the police station. That's symbolic, right? There were no police in it. Ultimately, the police left. There were 5 or 6 police. We don't know how many, and they left. But symbolically, this crowd is angry at the police, and what they are looking for is justice as it relates to the police. Chris, we're just going to reposition. I'm going to come back to you in a few minutes, all right? Yeah. Yeah. Cool.
Clear?
Yeah.
Listen, the justice called me and said that the protesters have cut the lines. The city's tweeting out that the gas lines are cut, and it could blow, so we're going back.
Got it. Okay.
They said they're going to call the control room and cut you.
Got it. Okay.
So we're heading back. They're cutting back to the car. I figured out the protesters put the gas lines. So, you know where we're going? Yeah, we're going back to